Crossroads concepts, contending for the faith once delivered to the saints.
Now, the very first verse here in Isaiah chapter 66 says, I'm using the King James Version. I read, it says, "Thus saith the Lord, the heaven is my throne, and the earth is my footstool. Where is the house that ye build unto me? And where is the place of my rest?" The children of Israel had begun to pride themselves and beat their chest that they had God living with them being in a place that they built. And so they were looking at this from the fact that, oh, we are superior to every other race on earth. And God began to query them eventually, because that had brought a kind of pride in their lives. And God began to query them. Where is the house you think you have built for me? And where is the place of my rest? In other words, you don't even know where my house is. The fact that I appended my signature, the fact that I put my name on this building does not mean I live there. You know, if you remember, Solomon, even when he was dedicating the temple, he said, would God indeed dwell in a house that is built by man? And so God was indirectly reminding them, I don't live in a house that is built by man. Man can't build a house. I am bigger than the entire universe. What house do you think will contain me? That was in fact the reason they killed Stephen. He was trying to tell the elders, the leaders, the Sanhedrin, the Pharisees and Sadducees that, listen, this house you're looking at is not the dwelling place of God. And what did they do? They killed him for it because they had received it. It's like it has become like, how do I put it now? Like an idol. They were comparing God to other gods. You know, some things you can put in your pocket, some things you can tie around your neck, some things you can tie around your waist, some things you can tie on your waist, or the one that maybe God is something that we can put in a shrine. But no, because ultimately the temple had become, that's the temple in Israel then, at Jerusalem, had become a shrine, so to speak. And God was like, this is not it. You're looking at the temple, you're not looking at me. And if you remember, after God divided the land of Israel into two, and he left one to Rehoboam, he gave 10 to Jeroboam. However, Jeroboam was afraid that the people that God gave me might even go back to Jerusalem, and before you know it, they submit their allegiance unto the house of David. So what will happen? Let me make an alternative. So he made an alternative first at Bethel and then at Dan. And then he placed, calves there, golden calves for them to worship in those places. And God was angry. And from then, God began to count the sin of Jeroboam, son of Nebat, that caused Israel or made Israel to sin. Now, the temple at Jerusalem was just, how do I put it now? It was just a pattern of what God has in mind. Just like the law was a pattern of what God had in mind for us, for mankind generally. And so God began to query them here and say, look, do you know that my house is the place of my rest? My house is the place of my rest. And the Bible would tell us that the rest of God is a man. We'll come to that later. But let's just confine ourselves to this first one. So God was querying them, where is the house you think you have? Is it this house? Is it this house? So please, let us not begin to look at a house as the dwelling place of God. God will not dwell in anything that man has built. God can append his signature there. He can identify with it. He can move with it, but that does not mean that is where he lives. We'll continue with this series in the verse 2. God bless you.